Counting Miracles.
Yeah.
Just the title alone, it makes you wonder, right? Is it about destiny? Those kind of moments, like serendipitous moments that just make you believe in something bigger. Well, we're going to find out, because today we're doing a deep dive into Nicholas Sparks' latest novel.
And it is quite a journey Sparks takes us on. Right away, like from page 1, he introduces us to Tanner. He's our protagonist, and we meet him, where else? Behind the wheel of his car.
Which, okay, let's be real, that's not exactly subtle foreshadowing for a Nicholas Sparks novel. This guy's about to take a journey, right? Literally and figuratively.
Exactly. And this is where Sparks, he kind of starts to subvert expectations a little. You know what I mean? Tanner, he isn't just some carefree wanderer, although if you look at his resume, ex-military, international aid worker, you might think, adventure seeker right off the bat. But there's more to it than that. He's drawn back to this town, Asheboro, it's in North Carolina, by a clue to his past, like a whisper of family secrets, something his dying grandmother reveals.
Can you imagine getting a message like that, a piece of your history you never even knew it existed, and it's pulling you to this place you've never been? I mean, that's how Sparks hooks you right from those opening chapters. He did it to Tanner, he does it to us.
It's a powerful hook, especially, for someone like you value putting down roots and all that. This whole idea of belonging, searching for a place to call home, it's something a lot of people can relate to these days.
It's almost like he's trying to outrun his past. But we all know those things. They have a way of catching up, don't they?
Exactly. And that's where Sparks' skill as a writer, you really see it. I mean, how he explores, like what motivates this character. Tanner, his background, wanting to help others, it could be cliche, but it's not. There's just this rawness, his grief, this questioning of his purpose. It adds like another whole layer. Sparks isn't giving us a hero. He's asking us to think about what makes a person tick.
Okay, but we can't forget it wouldn't be a Sparks novel without a little romance.
Right.
And that's where Kaitlyn comes in. Single mom, she's a doctor, busy about as grounded as they come. So how did these two, who seem like total opposites, how do they meet? Well, what else? A car accident, of course.
And here's the thing. It's not that, that dramatic, rain-soaked kind of encounter you might be picturing. A lot of times, Sparks will use these really big romantic gestures, but here, he goes a different way, much quieter. Like he's trying to explore a different side of love, something that's built on, I don't know, shared experiences rather than these big events. What do you think about that, by the way? I mean, how does that strike you, thinking about love and connection and all that?
I think it's definitely a slow burn.
Yeah.
But that tension, believe me, it's there. Sparks, he writes these scenes. You can practically feel that awkwardness, crackling between them.
And that's what makes Kaitlyn so interesting. I mean, she's not your typical Sparks heroine, not at all. She's practical, she's in control, the kind of woman who could make a guy like Tanner rethink this whole wandering soul thing,
She definitely puts him in his place. Right from that first encounter, remember. It's not exactly love at first sight. Sparks throws us a curveball with that first meeting.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, hey, sometimes a subtle connection is more powerful than fireworks.
And that sets up their whole relationship. It's not just going to be about, being attracted to each other. It's about two people from completely different worlds, and they're finding common ground, but in the most unexpected way.
And speaking of unexpected, right? It's not just Tanner and Kaitlyn. Starks brings in these other characters, and they really add something to the story, don't they? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Like take Jasper, for instance. This older guy lives out in the woods. Kind of a mystery, really. He's almost like, what's that word? He embodies that idea of place, of history. The things Tanner seems to be craving.
And he's got that white deer, too. It's like Sparks took, I don't know, a fairy tale, threw in a little Southern Gothic. What do you make of that? I mean, that imagery, the white deer, especially for someone who's searching for home,
It really makes you think, right? The white deer could be like a symbol, purity, maybe, or something sacred, hard to grasp, like a connection to nature, to something bigger. I think we kind of miss that these days.
Definitely adds some mystery. All those local legends, too, about Jasper, how he lives out there alone. But we can't forget Kaitlyn's kids, right? They bring a whole different meaning to home.
For sure. Family life, all the good, all the, well, not so good. The real stuff, Not just the romantic ideal. That's got to resonate, right? I mean, thinking about putting down roots.
Totally. You've got Casey, she's the daughter, super independent. She gives Tanner a run for his money, that's for sure. And then there's Mitch, the younger brother, dealing with his own stuff, too. They remind you that even in a Nicholas Sparks novel, life's not always perfect.
Exactly. It keeps things real.
Yeah.
You know, the story could get too sentimental, but they ground it. Plus, each of them, they're trying to figure things out too. Belonging, being accepted. It's like a mirror to what Sparks is doing with the main story.
Makes you wonder, can a guy like Tanner, used to being on his own, can he handle a family? Is he ready to give up that freedom, being on the move all the time for something more settled, more, I don't know, meaningful?
That's the question, isn't it? And Sparks doesn't shy away from the hard parts. Blending two families, all those expectations, it's real. And it shows that love, commitment, it's not always easy. But sometimes the biggest adventures, they're not about chasing some crazy dream. It's about those everyday moments,
Yeah.
embracing those.
It's funny, though, when you think about it. We've talked about Tanner's journey, wanting to belong, all that. But what about the miracles? I mean, it's in the title, right? But does Sparks ever actually come out and say what a miracle is? In this story, I mean.
See, that's what I like about Sparks, the way he tells a story. That idea, hope, maybe a miracle. It's always there, but he doesn't beat you over the head with it.
Right.
For Tanner, maybe the miracle is finding his father, finally knowing that part of himself,
Yeah, but here's the thing. He kind of plays with that, doesn't he? Like, as a reader, you're waiting for this big reunion, right?
Right.
All the answers. And then, boom, Sparks takes it a different way.
Totally. Just when you think everything's coming together, all of a sudden, Jasper gets sick. Now it's not about the past anymore. It's about right now, this very minute.
And everyone, they have to step up. Kaitlyn, being a doctor, she's the one everyone turns to,
Yeah.
Not just for Jasper, but everyone.
It reminds you, right, sometimes the things that matter most, that courage, helping others, it happens in those everyday moments.
And speaking of things that matter, can we talk about that ending? Talk about a twist. You think you've got it all figured out, and Sparks throws a curveball, changes everything.
That's our Sparks. He's a pro at taking all these pieces, these lives, and weaving them together. Finding out Tanner's actually Jasper's grandson, I mean, come on, that changes everything.
It makes you think,
Yeah.
all those little moments, the people we meet, we think they don't matter, but they end up shaping our whole lives. Maybe miracles aren't these big, flashy things. Maybe it's those little connections, how our lives touch each other.
Exactly. Finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. That's what it's all about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into counting miracles, what's the one thing you'd want someone to take away from this? Someone who, like our listener today, really connects with these stories about finding your place.
Sparks reminds us that home, it's not just an address, it's a feeling. The people who keep you grounded, challenge you, make you want to be better. And you know what? Sometimes the biggest miracle is realizing those people, they were there all along. We just have to let them in.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you with this. What are those connections in your own life? The ones that made you who you are? Those moments, maybe they seem small at the time, but looking back, they meant everything. Maybe your miracles, just like Tanner's, are waiting to be discovered.
Until next time, keep searching, keep asking those questions, and never underestimate the power of a good story.